Hello, in this video I'm going to show you how you can change the time settings on a chart. For the purpose of recording this video I'm going to use ShareScope Gold, but what I'm going to show you here applies to all three versions of ShareScope, Gold, Plus and Pro. I'm in front of me I've got a chart of BP PLC. It's the default chart, which is going to be the one that you will see when you open up ShareScope for the first time. Now, in order to change the settings of a chart, the time settings, you can do it in several ways. Firstly, zooming. Now, to zoom into a chart, all you have to do is click on the chart, hold down the mouse button, drag the mouse so a portion of a chart is highlighted, and let go. Now, the first time you do this, you will get a warning. The warning is referring to functions that you can get if you click on the start and end date. I will show these in a second, but for the time being, I'll just click in future, do not show this again, and hit on close. Now, we've zoomed in to the portion that we've highlighted. Now, we can keep on doing this. If I click again, drag, let go, I'll zoom into the portion, and so on and so forth. If you want to go back and zoom out, simply double click on the chart and it will zoom out, showing you again all of the available history on ShareScope for BP. Most of the time though, you probably do not want to be you don't want your chart to be set to 20 years of data or 21 years of data now. So to change the default amount of data displayed, we will use the limit date range function. So right click on the chart, go to limit date range and click on set date range. A window will open up which will allow us to define the amount of data displayed in the chart by default. So we can, for example, express the amount of data in days, weeks, months or years. In this case I'm going to display 18 months of data. Click on OK, and now the default amount of data displayed on the chart is 18 months. It goes from the 6th of January 2015 right back to the 8th of July 2013. If I change the chart and go to a different one, the time frame used will still remain the same. Now I can still zoom in, and I can still zoom out and display the entire history. Changing the limit date range option simply means that we'll change the default option for the amount of data that will be displayed when ShareScope opens up a new chart. Now, you probably noticed when we were looking at the limit date range options that there are a couple of extra options in that dialog box. There's a starting at date, ending at date option. Most of the time you will probably not be using these because previous 18 months will just be a rolling 18 months. So as the days progress, then days will be lost on the left hand side of the chart and added to the right hand side of the chart. However, say for example you would want to see what happened to a number of shares during the .com crash, for example, we can put a specific start date, and we'll put, say, from the 1st of January 1999 to the 31st of December 2003. In this case, the chart will go specifically between those two dates. It'll go from the start date that I chose, begins on the 4th of January, of course, not the 1st of January, and it will end on the 31st of December 2003. Again, unless you're analysing a specific period in the past, you will probably not be using this option, but it's there for your convenience if you need it. The options that I was mentioning before, that the little dialog box mentioned, are here. If you click on the start date, you can quickly edit the start date to a specific start date. So 8th of May 2002, for example. Or you can have it immediately jump at the beginning of the year. So in this case, it's jumped to the 2nd of January 2002. Or I can make it jump to the end of that year, 31st of December 2002. Another option for displaying data is immediately below the limit date range option, and it's show future. Now by default the graphs will be drawn right against the right hand margin. If you go to show future settings, you can add a bit of blank space at the end, which is particularly useful if you want to draw trend lines or Fibonacci retracements or things like that. You can express the amount of future that will be added at the end of a graph in days, weeks, months or years, or, as I personally prefer, as a percentage of a graph width. If I, for example, set 15%, then the rightmost 15% of a chart will be blank.